Friends, brace yourselves for maximum crazy. A number of prominent Trump advisors are publicly declaring things like Democrats should be jailed if Donald Trump wins the election, and the 22nd Amendment should be repealed so that Trump can run for a third and fourth and fifth term. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bell before you go. I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, friends, there's a lot of crazy coming from the Republican Party, as you know, and sometimes it's easy to forget about things or to become desensitized to things, but we really can't and shouldn't. This is the asymmetry which contributes to Republican victory, the potential that Donald Trump will win the election. We can take none of it for granted. We have to accept that at any given day, Donald Trump says and does things, and Donald Trump's advisors say and do things which should immediately and permanently disqualify them in terms of political aspiration. And yet they do it every damn day. Just a couple of things that have happened back to back. Let's start with this. So now that Ronna McDaniel is no longer the ineffective chairwoman of the Republican National Committee, and let me be very clear, Ronna McDaniel was terrible at her job and also just terrible in terms of the country. Now that she has been replaced in part by Trump's own daughter-in-law, the RNC is asking job applicants if they believe the 2020 election was stolen as a litmus test. Meaning, if you do not agree, if you do not believe the lie that the 2020 election was stolen, if you believe the truth, which is that the 2020 election was a free and fair election, that Donald Trump lost because he's a loser and that Joe Biden is the legitimate president of the United States, the Republican National Committee will not hire you. It's incredibly dangerous. In response to this, prominent Trump advisor and MAGA podcaster Steve Bannon, who may become Donald Trump's chief of staff if he wins the presidency for a second term, effectively making Bannon the second most powerful person in the United States. I'm going to play a couple of clips of Bannon. This is what Bannon had to say in response to that.
Where he tries to put her on the spot about the 2020 election, and then he finds out that when they hire people, one of the questions they're asking is, what do you think about the 2020 election? Nobody at the RNC should be there that does not think the 2020 election was stolen. Full stop. Why would you be there? Why would you be there?
I mean, I suppose in theory, a person would want to work at the RNC if they believe that Donald Trump lost fair and square and for whatever reason want to help him win fair and square in 2024. But this is how a cult works. Steve Bannon is saying if you don't buy the cult's lies, you have no place in the cult itself. You can't. This is not a random MAGA person. Steve Bannon, again, is one of the most influential Trump advisors and maybe Trump's chief of staff. He is telling you there is no place for you. If you are a Republican and you are not part of the cult, there is no place for you. You have to buy into the cult 100% or you should stay away. Absolutely deranged stuff. But wait, there is more from Steve Bannon. And this, what he says now, is probably even more deranged than what he just said.
They don't. And here's why. Mike Davis just said the quiet part aloud. On the evening after we've won, the accountability project's going to start. And it's going to be thorough this time. It's going to be deep. It's going to be meaningful, right? And it's not going to be the Peter Navarros of the world that are going to be in prison. It's going to be, they're going to be in prison. Yes, prison.
Democrats are going to be in prison, according to Steve Bannon, because Donald Trump, as he has publicly vowed, we don't have to read the tea leaves here. We don't have to read in between the lines. He has publicly said as much in public speeches with audio and video, as well as statements from those close to him, that Donald Trump will weaponize the Department of Justice if he becomes the president. That is absolutely despicable and fascistic. It's authoritarian. It's infinitely worse, literally infinitely worse than anything from the Biden administration with respect to the Department of Justice. One last clip just to share with you, because wait, there's more. And this guy, Mike Davis, whom Steve Bannon just referenced, is potentially, according to reports, Donald Trump's future attorney general.
U.S. As the next attorney general of the United States. Mike, where do they get you?
I'm going to be Trump's viceroy of D.C. because I don't like democracy. I want more authoritarian power. So
this is a guy who has publicly declared, by the way, that he would deport Mehdi Hassan, which he couldn't legally do even as attorney general, etc. So he's said all kinds of unhinged things. And here he is publicly declaring that. Some people say, you can't take it literally. You can't take it seriously. To which I say, why not? Why can't I? And would you, if I just imagine, My litmus test for people who say you can't and shouldn't take it seriously is, would you take it seriously if Barack Obama said he was coming for your guns, take your guns away? Or if Joe Biden said something like that? Of course you would. Because actually, believe it or not, words matter when they come from powerful people, regardless if they're Republican or Democrat. We should all evaluate the words of powerful politicians, regardless of political party. Donald Trump and MAGA don't and shouldn't get a free pass simply because they say crazy things. As a matter of fact, they should be held to a higher account, because Democrats don't say the sort of things like Mike Davis just said. But wait, there's more. And that is, the Biden-Harris official campaign have pointed this out, that there are prominent Republicans, including somebody who contributed to the Project 2025 handbook, basically the fascistic book. He wants to repeal the 22nd Amendment. 22nd Amendment, which puts a term limit on the number of terms that that presidents can have, right? It was the standard set by President Washington, went all throughout U.S. history until President Roosevelt broke it because it wasn't codified into law. It was just a tradition. And then after Roosevelt's death, it was codified into law in the 22nd Amendment. We're going to cap people, Republican or Democrat, independent, whoever, 2 terms. Barack Obama can't come back and run for a 3rd term. Neither can Bill Clinton, George W. Bush. But what they're calling for is the abolition, the repeal of the 22nd Amendment for Donald Trump. And they make the case in the American Conservative newsletter called Trump 2028. Truly unhinged stuff. Folks, this is inexcusably authoritarian. And this, by the way, smacks in the face of what so-called moderate, reasonable Republicans like Ben Shapiro and Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan's not a Republican. I mean, I think he's an American citizen. I don't know. I can't remember. But he certainly aligns politically with the Republican Party, even if he's not a card-carrying member. They say you don't have to worry about Trump. If Trump gets elected, he'll leave because the 22nd Amendment makes him. Well, number one, as we talked about, those are words on paper, written in ink. They are not magically binding. They won't magically compel Donald Trump to leave office. And besides that, his followers are seriously interested in repealing the 22nd Amendment so that he can run for a 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th term. Super gross stuff. I mean, I should see what there's a great, I think it comes from the very bottom. Conservatives have gritted their teeth for years as the left, in their hatred of Trump, has attempted to pervert the meaning of the first, the 25th Amendment, and more recently the 14th Amendment. The case for repealing the 22nd Amendment is far more straightforward. As with prohibition, it's simply a matter of finding the will to get rid of a bad idea that needlessly limits America's freedom. Trump in 2028. Super gross. This one right here. The case of Donald Trump, however, makes an even more forceful ethical argument against the 22nd Amendment and for its repeal. If a man who was once president returns after a series of years to stand again for the office and prove so popular as to earn a second non-consecutive term, sorry, the font is so small here, as Trump seems bound to deny him the right to run for a second consecutive term cuts against basic fair play. If by 2028 voters feel Trump has done a poor job, they can pick another candidate. But if they feel he has delivered on his promises, why should they be denied the freedom to choose him once more? Don't let questions of Trump's age in 4 years fool you. Trump in 2028. Folks, this is insane. And by the way, I love how conservatives appeal to popularity. They say, listen, if a candidate proves so popular as to earn a second non-consecutive term, so popular, folks, if you had to rely on the popular vote, and I mean you Republicans, had to rely on the popular vote for a president, there'd never be another damn Republican president. You don't care about popularity. Why are you appealing to it now? Donald Trump didn't win the popular vote in 2016 or in 2020. George W. Bush didn't win it in 2000, right? George W. Bush, for his second term, is the first Republican president in 35 years to win the popular vote. You all are on the wrong side of popularity 99 times out of 100. Why are you appealing to it now? But that's, of course, because they love popularity when it helps them. And then when it works against them, as it does more often than not, they say, well, listen, we're not a democracy. It's not about popularity. We are we are a constitutional republic, when in fact, we are a constitutional democratic republic, and republic and democracy are not mutually exclusive. I digress. But do you see what their aspirations are? They're not hiding it. You have to read in between the lines. They're explicitly telling you. Super gross, super weird, super authoritarian, and objectively disqualifying. There is no good argument to make to even entertain the possibility that this might not happen to put these losers back in power. The fact that they said it, the fact that they've written it, the fact that they have declared it in public consistently is objectively disqualifying. They are morally inferior to Democrats. They just are. There's no good case to make to the contrary, which is why there should be no elected Republicans in office in 2024. All of these elected Republicans suck because they have not done their part to quell the extremism in their party, which is why the good ones, or the ones who are less crazy, are leaving. Adam Kinzinger is no longer in office. Liz Cheney is no longer in office. And again, I don't know to what extent we consider them good, but they're certainly less crazy. The Republican Party in its current iteration, in terms of its elected representatives, are just bad people. They don't support democracy. But I digress. Let me know what you think in the comments.